Alright guys, so who here has a picky eating child? Because if you do, then this video is for you. So I wanted to make this video and give you guys 5 tips that you can use to help your picky eaters. And after I give you guys the tips, I'm going to share with you 5 meal ideas that my kids really love and I make all the time. The very first is to help them help you make the food. So if they are involved in cooking, they are going to be way more likely to eat because they're excited that they were able to help prepare it and make it. I love having my kids help me in the kitchen. Yes, it's definitely messier. We are always picking up messes, things off the floor. I got a robot vacuum for this reason because it's just always a disaster, but my kids eat a lot more when they are the ones to help chop up the vegetables, help chop up the apple, when they help pour and mix and bake and do all these things. They are way more likely to eat it because they, 1, put in effort, and 2, it's just fun and they want to be able to eat the food that they are making. So tip number 1, have your kids help. Tip number 2 is to have a mix of both safe and new foods. So if you are worried about your child not eating enough, that's where I am with my 3-year-old. I always make sure to, on his plate, have both foods that I know he's going to eat, that are going to fill him up, and then the foods that are a little bit more new, things that he hasn't eaten in the past, different things like that. And that way he gets a blend of everything and he can at least try or lick or whatever the new food or the food that he hasn't really enjoyed in the past. And I never say like, oh, you didn't like this before, because they forget and then it's like reintroduced and they're like, oh yeah, I've never eaten this before, and they'll eat it and he's like, I love chicken. And I'm like, yesterday you hated chicken. But you know, that's how kids are. So just always reintroduce and be able to give them foods that you know that they like, and then foods that are going to be more new. And that way they'll have a plate that they'll mostly eat, but also be able to try some new things and get in some healthier options. And tip number 3 is to take away the pressure, you guys. This is a tip I learned from Big Little Feelings on Instagram. They have a great account, by the way, if you want to look them up. But boy, was I doing this wrong before, and I still have a really hard time with this one, but it is so important. When you look at the different studies and everything, if you are constantly hovering, telling your child, you know, you have to eat this and then you can have dessert, telling them, you know, just take a bite, or praising them after they take a bite of it, it's actually making it worse for your kid. You are making them more picky. And I, like, in my head, I know this, but still as they are eating, I want to praise, I want to tell them one more bite. As time goes on, he will definitely eat more and get better and better at the foods that he is trying and he is eating. And that's why I always try to do like a mix of different foods on the plate. You know, there are vegetables that my 3-year-old loves. So I always make sure to have those on hand so I can give those to him and I know he'll eat them and it'll be fine. Take that pressure off and take it off yourself and take it off your child, and everyone is going to be a lot happier at mealtime. Tip number 4 is to feed your kids what you're eating. It sounds simple, but a lot of parents like make another meal for their kids. You know, like you're eating something and then you make your kids like mac and cheese for dinner. But I feel like it's important for your kids to try out new foods and to eat what you're eating. And a lot of times this is going to give them healthier options as well. So a lot of times I will deconstruct whatever it is I am making for myself. Like if I'm making myself a taco, or if we are doing curry for dinner, or different things like that, I will deconstruct it. I will give them a pile of rice. I will give them the chicken that I put in the curry. I'll give them a little bit of sauce on the side. You know, the vegetables that I put into the curry, I put that on the side as well, and to kind of deconstruct it for them. So that way it's easier for them to eat. If I'm making like a sandwich, I will oftentimes deconstruct it, especially for my 1-year-old, because I mean, he can't really eat a sandwich yet, but I will just, you know, give him pieces of bread, give him pieces of cheese and turkey, you know, and give him some cucumbers on the side. And that is like an easy meal that I'm like also eating that, but it's deconstructed. He can like easily pick it up with his fingers, or he's like practicing with a fork, and they're able to eat just what I'm eating. And then tip number 5, I kind of hit on this earlier, but definitely just keep trying. Try again with your kids. If they don't eat it the first time, that's totally fine. You know, if they lick it the second time, that's great. You know, if they put it in their mouth, spit it out the 3rd time, you know, at least they are progressing and they're trying. And if your kid, like it takes them the 8th time to put it on their tongue and spit it out, like that's all right too. So kids are going to take a long time to adjust to new foods and new flavors and new textures and things like that. And so just keep trying the foods. Okay, and now going into my 5 meal ideas. So I kind of already touched on one, but that is a deconstructed turkey sandwich. So I feel like turkey is like every kid loves turkey and will eat turkey, and it's a very healthy meat. And so if your child is old enough, you can just give them a piece of turkey, a piece of cheese, and some bread, and then put like a cucumber on the side for them to eat. Or you can completely deconstruct it depending on where your kid is at and how they are eating. But sandwiches are just a really easy, simple way to like you can put a tomato on the side, or you can put the tomato in their sandwich, and they are able to kind of like pick and choose what they're going to eat. But sandwiches are a very easy way to get like all of the different food categories onto a plate. The next is green smoothies, and this is something that we make in my house probably like every other day. I feel like smoothies is such an easy way to get vegetables in a kid's diet because they're all blended up, so they can't taste them. They have no idea they're even in there. If your kid is weird about the green color, you can just put it into a cup that you can't see the color. And eventually, maybe you can practice pouring a little bit into a regular sized cup and be like, look, it tastes great and it's green and that's okay. In my green smoothies, I usually will just put in a base of almond milk and spinach, and then I usually try to do like a chia seed or a flax seed, and then whatever fruit or sweetener you want to put in on top of that. Sometimes I'll add in a little bit of kids' protein powder and give them some protein, make it like a protein smoothie. But my kids really love it, and it's just an easy way to get in a lot of different things into one smoothie. You can also add in some oatmeal. Oatmeal in smoothies are great, and that's going to get in a grain as well. Next is a hummus plate, and hummus plates are so simple because you just cut up a lot of different things, and like you don't have to really bake anything, and your kids are going to be able to pick and choose what they eat. Personally, I have found that toddlers like more crunchy foods versus like slimy things. So like I feel like my son will not eat any slimy vegetables, but like crunchy vegetables he will eat a lot of. And so I will put on peppers, cucumbers, celery, carrots, and like literally kind of, I don't know, you just like throw on broccoli, like uncooked broccoli or uncooked cauliflower, whatever vegetables you have, sugar snap peas, you can put those on a plate with some hummus. My son goes back and forth with hummus. Sometimes he'll eat it, sometimes he won't. If there is another dipping sauce you want to try, you could even just use ranch at first, and your kids are going to be able to dip their vegetables into ranch. And then I also like to use some pita bread and put that on the side, and then my kids will eat the pita bread with all those things as well. You can also add beans or olives or pickles. Like I feel like this is a very easy way to add some new things into their diet, to like introduce them to some new foods. And next we have a quesadilla. So I feel like quesadillas are so easy. I'm like all about meals that you can like add things in, take things out, whatever your kids are into, like you can make it however you want to make it. So for quesadillas, I just think it's so awesome because you can put cheese, and I put a little bit of hummus in, and when it's melted, it like the hummus kind of like melts in and makes it kind of extra cheesy without it adding a whole bunch of like fat and like cheese. You know what I mean? So I like to add hummus to my quesadillas, but I add a lot of beans. You can add meat. You can add sauteed spinach is like a great way to get some spinach in, and you can add bell peppers or onions, different things like that. Your kid, you can chop them up really finely, and a lot of times they can't even notice that those things are in there, and they're a lot more likely to eat them because they're not realizing that they're eating their vegetables as they're eating this quesadilla, because a lot of times they just taste the cheese, and the beans or like meat or whatever they're okay with, and you have like little bits of vegetables and they don't even care. So quesadillas are definitely one of my go-tos with my kids. And the very last meal isn't really a meal, but it is a snack or dessert, and those are protein balls. So I love making these. I make them all the time for myself, and my kids love them as well. They literally just call them cookies. They think that they're regular cookies, and really, I mean, they are like basically cookies, but they're just a little bit healthier, So I usually will just take a base of oatmeal, and I add honey and peanut butter. Make sure that your kid is older than 1 if you're going to be giving them things with honey. And then you can add any sort of seeds. You can add chia seed and flax seed and hemp seed, and you add protein powder, and then you just like roll it all up into a ball and put it in the fridge, and kids love it. I add chocolate chips or coconut flakes sometimes. You can add tons of different stuff. So if you just like look up recipes online, there's like a million different kinds of protein balls, and they're just delicious. The kids will eat them up, and it feels like a dessert to them, but it's like honestly pretty healthy, right? I mean, you have a lot of natural sugars in there, but overall, it's way better than like an actual cookie or whatever else that they are wanting for dessert. And you guys, that is it. Those are all my tips and all of my meal ideas for you. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you did, and if you got some inspiration from it, please consider subscribing and also hitting that like button. I really appreciate everybody for watching this video. And again, I hope that you are able to make some yummy meals for your kids and help them with their picky eating. And if this video did help, let me know down below. I'd love to hear about it. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.